When Moonlighting premiered on TV in 1985, it quickly became one of the most successful shows of its time. The show made a star out of Bruce Willis and revitalized the career of actress Cybill Shepherd after a slow period earlier in the decade. Despite the success of the show, it didn't make it to see the 90s due to numerous complications that arose during filming. These included a growingly tumultuous relationship between Bruce and Cybill, as well as the dialogue-heavy nature of the show's scripts and the fact that it was one of the most expensive sitcoms to produce at the time. Join Facts First as we explore the reasons that Moonlighting was canceled. Over the years, there's been much talk of a supposed feud that developed between stars Bruce Willis and Cybill Shepherd while they were filming their hit 1980s sitcom Moonlighting. The two co-starred on the show together, and it went on to become a huge success soon after its 1985 premiere. Bruce was a new star to audiences, while Cybill Shepherd had been a famous film actress and model during the 70s. Cybill had apparently developed a bit of a diva mentality during her days as a film star, but that mentality didn't quite mesh well with her professional career once she became a TV star. Over time, her diva persona began to rub co-star Bruce Willis the wrong way. But there's also the fact the two were reported to have had a fling during the early days of filming that left a shadow over the remainder of its production. On Moonlighting, Bruce Willis played David Addison, while Cybill played the character of Maddie Hayes. Throughout the show's run, the two shared a good deal of romantic tension. During the early days of production, this tension was reportedly mirrored in the real-life relationship of Bruce and Cybill. One day during filming, Cybill reportedly instigated an encounter between the two. Bruce later showed up at her home with a bottle of wine, and the two made out before deciding not to take things further. It appears things never progressed romantically between Bruce and Cybill after this one-off encounter. They seem to have both agreed to keep things professional for the sake of the show. But they still grew to resent each other a great deal by the time the show came to its relatively early end in 1989. By the end of the series, the two were said to have barely been able to look each other in the eye. It remains unclear just how much the singular romantic encounter between the two played into this negativity. Cybill was cast onto Moonlighting first, and she was given the task of reading with the various actors who were auditioning for the part of David. Cybill reportedly felt no chemistry whatsoever with any of the actors trying out for the part until Bruce Willis walked in, at which point Cybill was immediately intrigued by his looks and personality. She felt chemistry with Bruce during the reading. This chemistry was certainly noticed by the audience, playing a huge part in the success of the show. But this chemistry could arguably have played a part in the show's eventual downfall, since it instigated the romantic encounter between Bruce and Cybill. Bruce Willis wasn't a star before the days of Moonlighting, and many were surprised when the star of the comedic show went on to become an action hero in blockbuster films like Die Hard. The creator of Moonlighting tried to talk Bruce out of taking his iconic role as John McClane, arguably because he knew it was going to be the beginning of the end of Bruce's time on television. In addition to the variety of other causes that contributed to the end of Moonlighting, Bruce's future as a blockbuster film star certainly made him not anxious to keep performing on the romantic comedy series. This was particularly true given that Cybill had begun to hate him by that point. On the first day of filming Moonlighting, Bruce supposedly woke up with a hangover and didn't have time to shower. Instead, he simply took a dip in his swimming pool and put his clothes on, showing up for the shoot on time, despite the fact he'd woken up late. Bruce was apparently a big partier during those days, yet he was a professional when it came to time on set. Meanwhile, Cybill had developed the habits of a diva during her time as a film star. Eventually, these contrasting personalities clashed to disastrous effect on the set of the show. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Facts First for more. And stick around for more about Moonlighting. Given that Cybill Shepherd considered herself a diva, she preferred to always get her way on the set of Moonlighting. Reportedly, she never got along with series creator Glenn Gordon Caron. After Cybill and Glenn stopped getting along, Cybill apparently used her sway on the show's set to get him fired. But Cybill didn't have this same sway when it came to her co-star. Her diva antics made her receive the ire of much of the cast and crew, while Willis's more laid-back demeanor made him stand out to his coworkers as the more reasonable of the two. Because of this, people sided more with Bruce when he and Cybill started feuding. But Bruce certainly seems to have played his part in making things difficult towards Moonlighting's end. When things were at their worst between Bruce and Cybill, crew members were reportedly forced to measure the distance between the stars' respective trailers and the set of the show. This was to ensure that neither Bruce nor Cybill had to walk a single inch farther than the other to begin filming. Tension between the two stars had further grown when Sybil took a reduced role on the show due to her pregnancy. Bruce had to work harder to make up for Sybil's break. He also broke his collarbone during this period, which made working that much harder. It's been said that numerous scenes towards Moonlighting's end used body doubles for either Bruce or Sybil, so the two didn't have to be around each other quite as much. However, much of the use of doubles was also apparently so the camera crew didn't have to deal with Sybil's tips on how to make her look right on camera. Sybil had begun acting very self-consciously about her appearance while filming Moonlighting. She was 5 years older than her male co-star, and she was starting to worry her age was showing on screen. While Bruce and Sybil seem to have largely been able to keep things relatively cordial during filming, despite their increasingly tumultuous on-set relationship, there was reported to have been at least one moment where the two broke out into a legitimate verbal dispute. This spat arose during a fake dispute that the two were supposed to be filming, and no one could quite put their finger on how the dispute suddenly became real. The incident supposedly ended with Sybil throwing a prop against the wall of the set that was reported to have made the set forcefully shake. If Sybil had been the only diva on the set when Moonlighting first started filming, Bruce Willis had joined her by the end of the run. The two both exhibited a great deal of over-the-top diva behavior while filming the final season, and part of why the show came to an end was that it was simply growing too difficult to film them together. But there were other reasons too. By the end of the show, they were said to have done nothing more than come onto set, say their lines once, and leave. They refused to rehearse or do more takes. This made it incredibly hard for the other stars on the show who required rehearsal, including the show's guest stars. The editors of Moonlighting supposedly had a hard time during the show's final days finding footage where Bruce and Sybil managed to look each other in the eye. If stories are to be believed, they had to make do by slowing down footage of the fragmented moments when the two managed to make eye contact. The show was already one of the most expensive series of its day, and this increased trouble when it came to production didn't prove to be very feasible. The final season of Moonlighting was only 12 episodes long due to a strike that was going on amongst TV writers. In the years since the show came to its end in 1989, both Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd appear to have let go of their negative feelings towards one another. Sybil even took part in 2018's roast of Bruce Willis, proving both stars are now able to see humor in their ridiculous feud. While Sybil seems to have humbled, Bruce is arguably still as much of a diva as ever. The actor is reportedly hard to get along with on the set of his films and doesn't like to have to do more than he needs to in order for a scene to be completed. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you know Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd had romantic tension on the set of Moonlighting? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to FactsVerse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.